Welcome to the Zaleski Sports Show. I'm Jason. Dan Ross here to my left. We got some good. That was a combination of cool and good. We got some good things to talk to you about today, including football conference realignments, fresh off of the spreadsheet, girls basketball rankings, and we'll talk about our upcoming live broadcast schedule.
It's all yours, and it's all now.
It's every third or fourth show. I put a full good one together, every third or fourth.
Maybe this is the one.
So far, so good. Okay. Football. So we continue to talk about football. It's the off season, but the off season is when a lot of the administrative and the future planning work gets done in the high school. We did have a retirement since we spoke to you all.
That's a big deal. That's big
week.
News. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're looking for a job in the sport of high school football in Wisconsin, and now is your time to shine. As football commissioner, one of my favorites, Tom Shafransky, has retired. He's decided that fishing and golf is more important. It's understandable.
Well, not getting yelled at constantly.
Yeah.
You know, really, you have to weigh it. You have to weigh the balance of it.
All of my interview requests, all those things add up over the course of time. I wore my association shirt today.
I see that.
For this
khakis too.
For this very
What's
reason.
the occasion?
Well, I'm probably a state tournament today. I'm just gonna go down to somewhere and act like I'm an authority on something. So Tom, best of luck in the future. I know I'll see you on the golf course and probably see you in some other things. But looking for a new commissioner is the association. So if you are that somebody, get a hold of the folks, and maybe you're our next football commissioner, and deal with issues and items like football conference realignment. Every couple of years, schools are given the opportunity to voice to the association that maybe the particular conference they're in is no longer acceptable to their terms. It could be enrollment or quality, competitiveness of the team, geographics, whatever it might be. So I know, Dan, you've got some updates on the conference realignment proposals that'll be voted on soon.
Yeah, so we do this every 2 years, right? And it's the opposite year. So whatever's being agreed on, it doesn't take place this upcoming fall. So no worries about having to go check and figure out schedules and stuff because we're still a year out from it. Yeah. But with declining enrollments in the top half of the state, and honestly throughout the entire state for the most part.
Yeah, it's a statewide, maybe even a nationwide situation. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot more teams going from 11-man to, or from 11-man to 8-man.
A lot.
Yeah, a couple of teams go 8 to 11, right? We talked to one team that will be doing that. Mm-hmm. And so there's less and less 11-man teams, and when these teams transfer, their conference kind of takes a hit, right? If you lose one or two teams, your 8-team conference now goes to 6, and then you just kind of shrug your shoulders.
You don't have enough conference games to make anything of it.
Yeah.
No, you don't have enough opponents.
Yep. And the forfeit wins don't really help you. They help you qualify, right? Yeah. But that affects the other teams in the state that would have been taking their spot. So they have to do this every other year. And there's been some controversy with it.
Well, fill us in.
Yeah. So in our neck of the woods, not a whole lot. I don't think the Valley schools are affected that much by it.
Not yet.
No.
Soon.
Some of our Merriwood teams are a little affected by it. There's a lot of controversy in the Milwaukee area, the southeast area of the state, because they created a super conference of really the 8 best teams in that area of the state are now in, I think it's the Classic 8.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people who are really upset about it because the teams that left were the weaker teams. They brought in 3 teams that have been in the state finals or in the state semifinals the last couple of years. It is controversial, to say the least, is what I would say. And I really want to remind people that the playoff qualification is probably changing anyway. So before we all get up in arms about what's possibly happening, just let it sink in. Take a look at exactly what the overall landscape is. And to be honest, most 11-man teams are probably going to be making the playoffs soon anyway. So I'm not sure exactly how how it really affects teams. But it's the internet, right? So everybody goes and keyboard warrior everything that they possibly can.
Okay, good. I'm reading from Wiz Sports. Travis Wilson put this together. You should go to wizsports.net and read this yourself. He put together a much more comprehensive piece than anybody else in the state could.
Yeah, read that conference, man. It is
I
just
will, yeah.
monster
So the
schools.
Classic 8 is what Dan referenced there. Arrowhead, Hamilton, Kettle Moraine, Mugwanago, Muskego, Oak Creek, and Oconomowoc, all in the same Classic 8, which is it's a real classic.
It really is.
It's a real classic.
And crossovers with Franklin and Germantown.
Yeah.
And Marquette. Like it's no easy games is what I would say.
Yeah, so Pewaukee was in that Classic 8. Now they're out. They are looking to move to the North Shore. And that's where most of the conversation has been. Of note, you mentioned the Merriwood and those teams. So Loyal Greenwood formed a football co-op. This was its first year of existence. They entered in 11-player as that co-op in the CWC Large. They have petitioned now to move to the CWC Small. So
Probably better.
Way better.
Yeah.
Way better. I mean, for everybody. Because the large teams don't want to play a school or a program of that magnitude, and they don't. And Loyal Greenwood doesn't want to play the. It works out for everybody in that way.
And an 8-player, kind of a big deal.
Well, Assumption and Rosholt moving in to that has created too many teams in a conference, so that had to be adjusted, and so Assumption, Athens, Newman Catholic, Owen Withy, Thorpe, Gilman in the same conference, and so that's a super conference of its own.
It really is
in a lot of ways.
And I heard that they're going to vote on increasing the tournament size for 8-man.
Yeah, I added these up. I can just do some rough math here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So 70 plus teams in 8-player. That is growing quite big. And only having 16 of 72 in the culminating event is not enough.
No.
It's an opinion, but it's an informed opinion. So I would look to see that playoff field doubled in the next 18 to 24 months.
Yeah,
24 months.
32 feels better. I mean, for 11-man, I don't know what the percentage of teams make it, but it's like 70% or 60-something%.
Well, had been, but now with the additional teams.
Yeah, it's going to be even more, right?
Yeah.
Because more are going to 8-man. So if you really think that, say, 70-75% of the teams should make the football playoffs, which I'm okay with, and I think everybody playing the sport is probably okay with it, then it would make sense that 8-man doesn't just have 20% make it, right? It should be maybe somewhat similar.
Yeah, 5 years ago you had 16 of 30. Well, now it's 16 of 72. So it's grown. It's doubled in size over the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's like 22% or something. Yeah, so
not enough.
It's not enough.
Especially when the 11-player is getting 70% in.
Yeah.
Then we're out of whack, and I'm sure somebody, the Coaches Association, likely will make that recommendation soon and get that approved. Central Wisconsin Conference, I mentioned Rosholt in 8-player adding themselves into the mix. They, unlike Assumption, will actually join that conference coming up in the fall. Assumption is going to remain in the CWC Merriwood for one additional year.
North Central East now.
Yeah, when they enter it in 2026. But Rosholt will actually enter in 2025, and they will join. And when the conference gets realigned, they'll be part of something called the Central Wisconsin, which is Almond Bancroft, Bowler Gresham, Marion, Tigerton. Those are each one school, by the way. Those 3 names, co-ops. Menominee Indian, Port Edwards, Tri-County, Wild Rose, and then the Rosholt Hornets.
I bet you Assumption hoped they would be in that one.
Probably, and they are not. I think back they had a school board meeting, Rosholt did, which is different than Assumption, public versus private. They don't have the school boards, and if they did, they're not airing them to the public or inviting the public like the public schools are mandated to. So I watched the school board meeting that day when Rosholt when they were voting on approving their football team making this move to the 8-player format. And so the one thing, and Owen Withy found this out a couple of years ago, as did Athens and Thorpe. If you break your conference contract to move to a different conference, and this is for 11 8-player with football, you are ineligible for the playoffs until the new conference is formed. You can move, that's fine. You can play all your regular season games, but you are not eligible to make the playoffs until the conference realignment is effective. So Rosholt they were debating this in their school board meeting. I just found this a little funny. So I share the story. So somebody from the school board mentioned, yeah, but if we move to this new conference next year right away, I was told we're not playoff eligible, and the football coach said we're not making the playoffs anyway. So what difference does it make? And I just it was a bit of realism that I appreciated. Right? Let's treat our student athletes with some respect. That we're not going to try to pull one over on them or anybody. We haven't made the playoffs in so many years. We're not making the playoffs next year, no matter what conference we're in. Let's just move to the 8-player, start forming this team, forming our new program and tradition, and off we go. Assumption, the other side of it was they wanted to wait a year so they could remain playoff eligible for the 26 season, and they would have left their conference really in a lurch. I think they would have been left with just 5 teams in that conference or something like that.
That's bad.
So assumption, different conference, a different situation, how you can maneuver around and make those decisions. Just give a couple examples.
Yeah, and I really hope that we're over the hump of people thinking that 8-man football isn't real football.
Oh, it is great football.
Yeah, it is. It's really fun to watch. It's really up-tempo. The athletes shine more in 8-man than 11-man, honestly, I would say. And again, these aren't final. Still have to be voted on and approved, but it's going to get approved.
We rarely see them not approved.
Yeah.
Because these are coming from the schools and the Coaches Association. So who could argue with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I know that there's a lot of complaining, especially on the 8-man side and in the Assumption Conference, whatever they're going to call it, that the travel times for some of these games are pretty ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So inside their own conference, Alma City Lincoln's in it.
Alma Center Lincoln.
Or
yeah.
Alma Center.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Cornell. I'm not sure where Cornell is.
We drove through there on our way to Ladysmith back in the fall. So it's a ways away.
And Alma Center is south?
Yeah, that is kind of Mississippi River area.
Okay. And then Gilman.
Maybe not quite that far, but
Gilman, Newman's in Wausau, so that's
Black River area for Alma Center Lincoln. It's a long ways.
It is a long ways, and these are conference games, so like these teams are going to have to go here every other year or until the new ones come out.
Well, once a year, somebody will need to travel. Between Cornell and Alma Center, somebody's on the bus with the plastic seats and everything else going across the bumpy railroad tracks and everywhere else for a couple hours.
It's true.
One way. In the 11-player, what did we see? We saw Iola, Scandinavia, and Durand, Arkansas in the same conference. And on a bus...
Well, crossover, I think.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah, so like once every 7 years or something,
right.
they would have to
That's right.
make the trip.
Yeah, and so if that game comes to fruition, and again, prevailing thought would be you schedule that in the 7th year.
Right.
Because the likelihood of that conference still being aligned in the same way 7 years is probably fairly low. Just because the landscape is always shifting right now, and it's been shifting a lot in the last 5 years. But if that does come to fruition, somebody's going to be on the bus for 3.5 hours.
On a Friday night, yeah.
One way, and you're going to get back home 2 to 2:30 in the morning after getting crunched around on a football field and then bumping around in the plastic seats for 7 hours. Good luck.
Yeah, it's not great, but again, like the conferences are going to change by then, hopefully.
Yeah.
But people also just like to complain a little bit. Honestly, the kids don't care so much.
Not at all. It's a bus ride with my buddies. I don't care where I'm going. So again, Travis Wilson has us up on wisports.net. That is the best resource to get yourself comfortable with what we're talking about. Yeah. If we didn't help you enough. And there's always that chance.
Which we probably did.
Yeah. All right, Dan, let's move to basketball rankings. So again, VIP members on Zaleski Sports get to see these rankings right now. I believe they are live on ZaleskiSports.com for this week. New edition this week for the girls, updated from last week. Again, it's $5 a month. Why is this important? Well, what do we have here? Okay. So what we have is the rankings. Why they're important is these are based off of years of research by us and based on the WIA's own seed math, which at the end of the year you get your seed score that slots you into your bracket, and you all get to know these weeks ahead of time and be the smartest person about who's the best basketball team in an area, in a division, in the state, and you get to know it all for just $5 a month. Boys seed scores come out tomorrow, so Monday girls, Tuesday boys. That's how it is every week now, all the way through bracket time. So many weeks because
it takes a lot of work.
Hundreds of hours a season are put into this. So off we go. We mentioned just a couple of highlights. Again, you'll see the whole list at ZaleskiSports.com, and that's a change we're making. We just talked about this in our Monday morning meeting. All 92 teams in Division One, every team in the state, you'll get to see. You got to scroll a little ways on your phone, but you get to see them all. So we're pretty excited for that. In Division One, the Pewaukee Pirates come in with a seed score of 736, and that is the number one in the state.
Shocked Pikachu face. The Pewaukee would be number one. Like
Pikachu face.
Shocked Pikachu face.
I love it. Kimberly, number 2. They've had a couple big wins this year already. I think they've, I don't know exactly where our friend of the show, Norbert Durst, had Kimberly coming in. Probably not ranked number 2, but there they are as of today. And I should mention that too, right? These are snapshots in the moment through games played. Some of you have said to us in the past, yeah, but they haven't played these teams yet. Okay, great. And when that week happens, the seed scores all get updated. So follow along at your own will. Arrowhead 3, Manitowoc Lincoln 4, Kenosha Bradford comes in at number 5. I go down the list a bit. Eau Claire Memorial, who appear on this network often, ranked number 15 in Division 1. And we had Mukwonago on the network a week or two ago. They come in at number 22. So pretty good stuff right there. Anything else jump out at you?
Not really.
Some schools down the list, we're going to save them. We're extend some grace to the schools that are at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, and the really good thing that we can take away from this when it's on the website is you can take the teams that are in your sectional and you can seed them yourself anytime you want to.
Yeah, very easy to do. As a matter of fact, VIP members will get that handed to them. What do they say, on a silver platter?
Yeah. You
get that handed to you on a silver platter. In January, we give you the first look at it, and then we give you the official brackets about 2 weeks before they officially come out.
Yeah.
Okay, but the first release is about a month away of brackets. Wow.
I love brackets.
Wow. Division 2, Wauwatosa East, Rice Lake, Pius, Union Grove, Whitefish Bay.
Rice Lake beat Lakeland.
Okay, well, they're ranked number 2.
Yeah.
So how about that?
It's a sectional matchup. Probably a sectional final, sectional semifinal.
Yep, your T-Birds right there, slotted at number 15. The Rhinelander Hodags, 11.
Yeah.
How about that? That's pretty good if you're a Hodag. Mosney, 16.
Mosney's pretty good this year. Both boys and girls programs having good, strong starts to the season.
I missed my Tigers, Dan, so hang on. I got more Tigers news coming up. Yeah, okay. They're still
middle of the pack.
They're still working their way around the schedule.
They are right in the middle of the bell curve.
They completely dismantled Wisconsin Rapids on Friday.
That's not really
all right.
Breaking news.
Now, Division 3, Elk Mound, Edgerton, Winneconne, the Foxes. I like that name. Wisconsin Dells, and Wittenberg, Burnhamwood.
The Chargers.
Yeah, and they've got a lot going on. Rory Salveson, a premier scorer in the entire state. I clicked the wrong link there. But we get to see the Wittenberg, Burnhamwood Chargers tonight, right here on this network, 7:15. They take on the DC Everest Evergreens. But yeah, they've got one of the state's premier scorers in Rory. You want to keep an eye on her tonight. But off to a great start are the Chargers. And what a name there, too, the Chargers. Yeah. Ranked number 5. Division 3, You don't touch a whole lot of these teams often.
Tomahawk 18, that's pretty high. That's probably as high as the Lady Hatchets have been since I was in high school in the 90s, in the 1900s.
Is a female hatchet more or less destructive than a male hatchet?
Even.
Even, okay.
Yeah.
Even.
No favorites.
It wasn't an option.
No favorites.
Okay. What I saw Altoona coming up towards the top of the second tier.
The
So that's
Railroaders?
pretty good. The Railroaders.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. In Division 4, how about this? The Neillsville Warriors with a massive seed score of 752.
Yeah, pretty good.
Massive seed score. They are a half a mile ahead of Cuba City, who the Cubans beat the Warriors last year in a sectional final.
Yeah.
So with the Neillsville Warriors, and again, we talked about this, I think, a little bit last week. They don't get much, if any. I'll just say it. They don't get any competition in conference.
Their score is as high as it's going to be.
Yeah, it'll come down
Bleed.
because of the conference affiliation, unfortunately for them and everybody involved in that. Stratford Tigers. So Neillsville won, Cuba City, Shell Lake, Partyville, and the Stratford Tigers. Tigers have a different stripe.
Stratford boys and girls, both undefeated still. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
All right. Auburndale, who were dismantled by Assumption last week, coming in at number 12 in Division 4. But that dismantling, again, your strength of schedule, big part of this formula, helps, even though they lost, does help to lift the Eagles a bit, even though they probably felt pretty deflated when they left the gym on, Thursday night? Whatever night it was.
Number 11, Bonduelle. They have
Bonduelle Bears.
They have a game with Assumption next week after.
Okay. Excellent. And the Spencer Rockets coming in at number 20.
Surprising.
That's about as high as they've been in the last 10 to 12 years.
Yeah.
10 to 12 years. Coach Kyle Davis over there getting them cranked up. Your Marathon Raiders, 18.
Also higher than they've been.
Undefeated still? No, they lost to Stratford.
They lost to Stratford.
Okay. So a good loss.
Yeah. They had quite a game Friday night.
You care to tell us about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So Marathon hosted Rib Lake in a Merriwood crossover doubleheader.
Boys girls doubleheader.
Yeah, two good games. The Marathon boys lost by 1. Lost the lead late. Big 3 by, I don't remember the kid's name from Rib Lake, but hit it through with 10 seconds left and held on to win by 1. And the girls fell behind 11-2 right away, and Marathon went on a 23-6 run or something. That game had 73 turnovers in it. Both teams pressed, and both teams could not break a press.
You gotta value the ball.
You really do.
It's the object of the game, the ball.
You really do.
You gotta value it. You've got to sacrifice your body for it.
Yeah, and the thing that I really came away from, Rib Lake does everything that they possibly can with the rosters they have. There's only 3 or 4 last names on these rosters, right?
Yeah.
Because it's
right.
brothers and sisters that are going through the programs, and they're Division 5 and they're small.
Yeah.
Right? So they likely don't have JV, or the JV is really limited. The varsity plays 7 kids because that's what they have. So really good games. There's a lot of good games all over the place.
Watch those games in archive on YouTube, or way easier to use, Roku. So get on your Roku app, download the Zaleski Sports app there, and you dial in the school year or the team, and it shows you the exact game you're looking for. Because you pull up Marathon Rib Lake, and you're going to get, on YouTube, you're going to get any game in the last 7 years, and YouTube's going to show you whichever one they think you want to see, and it's a big, confusing mess. It's much
really
easier on Roku, much easier. That's why we have it out there for you, and that's free, by the way, free to you. What else? I saw this here, 22 Regis, 23 McDonald. So our private school partners a couple miles down the road from each other come in at 22 and 23. McDonald Central, reigning state runner-up.
Yeah, must be struggling to start the season. I haven't checked in on them, so.
No. Same. Okay, we'll move to Division 5, which turns out is the final one. And remember last week I told the Assumption Royals not to get their Lions' tails all in a bunch.
True.
Well, and here they are, ranked number 1 in the state. In Division 5 are the Assumption Royals, followed by Shullsburg, Albany Monticello, the Space Ponies, Owen Withy, and New Auburn. Owen Withy, a sectional final participant last year, were the Blackhawks.
Who'd they lose to?
Clear Lake. Clear Lake last year. Yeah. So Pacelli comes in at number 8. What else am I seeing here? Almond Bancroft 12, Columbus Catholic 18. That's about as high as they've been in the last few years as well. Coach Eric Wilson looking to turn that program around, but they did get throttled by Neilsville last week. So
I saw that.
yeah, Max. So at this point, then your goal in that conference, and this goes for any conference where you've got a powerhouse and then everybody else
Win all the rest.
Second place. Second place is our conference championship, and that's the goal. Might have been the goal coming in, if you were being realistic about it in that conference. There you go. Pittsville has slipped to 41.
Yeah, and
Slipped out.
when I did research for the Merriwood Minute actually this week, which a lot of work goes into this stuff, right? And I'm not sure a lot of people understand. They're like, yeah, they sit up here and they talk about high school sports. Anybody could do this. Like, there's prep work in all of this.
If anybody could do it, they would be doing it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And maybe it's the same this year as past years. I'm not really sure. But what I would say is there are a couple of really good teams, and everybody else is just kind of trying to find their way now.
Yeah. Yes. True.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's, we're just before Christmas. Maybe it's the same every year. The really good teams start strong. They don't improve that much during the year. Right?
If I were to think on the last 5 years, it's been a little more well-defined than compared to this year.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something.
Yeah. So the really good teams that started the year, they put a lot of time in. They do improve throughout the year, but marginally improve. It's the teams that are kind of middle of the pack or towards the bottom that improve greatly, which really creates fun postseason because those teams are very close later on in the season. So it really feels like right now there's a gap, especially between the top couple teams, and there's 30, 40 points from the next ones.
Yeah, completely, totally agree. All right, let's move on to record breaking.
I'm looking forward to the boys seeds because we have not had any sort of insight into it. Gut tells me things, but
yeah. Well, here's what they look like now.
A lot of NAs. How about that?
Being worked on at a feverish pitch, though, today. Again, girls VIP filled out today on ZaleskiSports.com. Boys basketball is a Tuesday reveal each week. So you do that without us. You have this talk at home at your kitchen table to yourself for the boys.
So before we get into record-breaking stuff, because I know that we do have something special happening or did happen.
Both.
Both? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get your feel on what has surprised you so far in basketball. Right? I have a couple.
A lot of people don't know this. Now, what I'm going to say next, most people know, is I have talked at length over the last few years about a shot clock and being needed in basketball in this fine state. As almost all, if not all, of our neighboring states all have shot clock now. Progress is being made, except here in Wisconsin, and it is a shame. And the biggest answer I get is, our school is too small, or it's too this or too that, we couldn't pull it off. I guarantee you, folks, in Minnesota and Iowa and Illinois, it's the same. Minnesota and Iowa are more rural than Wisconsin is, and they're able to pull it off. So enough with the nonsense, enough with the excuses, and
it makes us look bad too.
Well, it does. We look like rubes.
Yeah.
Because of it. And I have had this basketball season, which is only a few weeks underway, Dan. So this is my update. Maybe that's not the answer you're looking for. I've had a lot of coaches come up to me and saying, keep talking about it. We need your support. I am with you. I even had a basketball coach come up to me in the last few days, and in their summer league and their summer tournaments they're hosting, they are performing the shot clock all summer long. So there's some steam being gathered. There's some momentum being rolled down the hill now, and I hope it equals the vote soon. So that's what I've seen. That's probably not the answer you were looking for, but I haven't got that in the last few years. This year, it's a lot of the coaches are coming to me and encouraging. And we like it.
Yeah, and the game is changing, right? Yeah. And we talked offline about this in the NBA type scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much more scoring now, and the pace is so fast, especially the boys game, the high school boys game in our state goes up and down now, up and down.
In most places.
Most places, sure.
Yeah.
But girls, a little bit slower, but teams aren't taking 30 seconds to shoot a shot, generally speaking, right? So we're talking about a handful of possessions maybe during these games. And in my Marathon boys game the other night, there was 3.5 minutes left, and you could see Marathon had no interest in shooting the ball. And that actually was a detriment to them, right? Because they turned it over and missed some free throws and that. But if there's 3.5 minutes left, you shouldn't kind of expect a team to try to hold for the last 3.5 minutes. Like, it's not basketball.
It's not basketball when that happens, and in this case it is the minority, but it's the teams you're talking about, and when they run up against a team that wants to carry a minute and a half possession, it is no longer basketball at that point. Not 2024-25 basketball. It is 1975 basketball. Yeah. That is true. And Dick Bennett screwed this up for a lot of high school coaches in this state because that was the philosophy, and many of them went with it because, in your state,
it was working.
The college coach is the leading expert on the theory of basketball. But it hasn't been like that in this state or in this country for a long time. And I go to a lot of games, either to work or to spectate, and I'll be doing a little of both on Friday. More on that coming up. And I hear still some coaches, 7 passes. Right? What that means is, coach will not allow you to shoot until he's seen 7 passes. But for what? Passing for what?
Yeah.
Just for the sake of passing the basketball. And that's not the way the sport is played anymore.
Yeah, and you're really doing a disservice to those kids that are D1, D2 level performers. Or want to be, yeah. Giving your team an extra 15, 20 possessions a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just more looks. So hopefully this goes. My biggest surprise is how good the Valley is this year, boys side. Stacked.
I hope it turns out that way. Marshfield fell to Brookfield Central on Saturday. Stevens Point also lost somewhere. So I'm hopeful yet.
I was surprised. Well, at least when these teams start playing each other more, that you're going to see really good basketball. And that's what I care about.
And you're talking about the boys.
Boys.
The boys side, yeah.
West went in and beat Spash.
That's what I was thinking of. Okay, so in conference, that's fine. Somebody's always going to win or lose. I apologize to the Spash Panthers. You didn't lose to a bad team. You lost to what probably is a good team.
Yeah, and you look at the conference standings, which they have one game played, right?
Yeah. Like,
we can't tell a whole lot. But we know that Marshfield's good. We know that Wausau East is very good in D2 this year.
Yeah.
West is good. Spash is good, and they have Alway coming pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah.
The Valley has 4 or 5 really, really good teams this year.
Yes. Wausau West hadn't beat Spash in over 12 years. It's been a long time.
Yep.
Speaking of the shot clock and intensity of the game and picking up the pace, Spash scored 50. You can't score 50 and count on winning games. You got to pick up the pace in today's basketball. You got to pick up the pace. I think. I'm not a coach, never will be, so I'm probably wrong. But it seems like when you score 50, you don't give yourself much of a chance to win that basketball game.
Well, in the Valley in past years, maybe, right?
Maybe. But, it's true, maybe.
But you can
I wouldn't count on it.
You can go to WIS Sports on any given night where there's boys basketball being played, and these teams are playing in the 70s and 80s.
80s. Now. 80s are very common in a lot of areas in this state.
Some 90s, some 100s.
A lot of areas.
Yeah.
Okay.
50 is not going to get it done.
I don't think so. That's too risky. It's just too risky. Okay, records. So let's talk about getting up and down the floor.
Yeah.
And the lack thereof, as it turns out. Now, a lot of people know I went to Marshfield High School. I currently don't live that far. I'm out of town. I don't live that far. If you took one of those New Jersey drones and you flew it on top of my house,
you'd be able to see it.
You wouldn't have to get very far high up to be able to see the high school, even though you get all the county roads and dirt roads to get there from where I live. The Marshfield boys basketball team has a new all-time leading scorer, and it is senior Brooks Hinson. going to Northern Michigan coming up next year. But here's what's interesting about it. So the record stood for 63 years.
Wow.
63 years, Dan, and the record was 1,170 points. So that is to say, scoring at Marshfield basketball, boys basketball, has not been a thing for 63 years.
No, but it could also be that up until recently, maybe underclassmen didn't play varsity.
Scoring has not been a thing. I know for a fact. So Joe Imhoff now is 3 years, or third on the list. He played for all 4 years.
Okay.
1,132 points.
Okay.
No. Marshfield boys basketball scoring has not been a thing in my lifetime.
I love it.
That just the fifth leading score doesn't even have a comma.
Yeah.
There's no comma.
There's only 4 1,000-point scorers.
There's only 4 in the history of Marshfield boys basketball.
When we were at Newman...
Congratulations, Brooks. Congratulations.
When we were at Newman, we had 2 1,000-point scorers on the same team.
On the same team. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So, and counting. Brooks still has 20, maybe plus games to play. See how far he and his Tigers travel through the playoffs when they happen, but a lot more scoring to do there. I know that we had a single season scoring record at Marshfield in 2018. Seth Anderson had 580 or something like that in the season, but he topped out at like 700 on the career.
Yeah.
So it was a all-star performer at UW La Crosse. So which means if the offense would have been opened up as it should have been, he probably would have been in the thousands.
Yeah, for sure.
But offense was not opened up for a premier scorer, which is a disappointing thing for me.
Yeah.
I like scoring in basketball. Coming up tomorrow.
Another record setting.
Your Marywood Minute's coming up, and I'm not going to talk about the schedule yet, but we're talking about record breakings and all those kind of things. Pittsville's Reese Grimm on the verge of setting the all-time scoring record at Pittsville High School, and I believe it's all-time, boys-girls, all-time scoring record. And that game, Steve Maves will be on the call on Tuesday at 7:15 from Pittsville.
It's the Green Devils.
As they take on the Adams Friendship Green Devils. I believe Grimm is 12 points away.
Yeah, she'll get that.
All calculations seem to figure, barring something crazy, that'll happen.
If not, then Steve will go to the next game.
We'll keep going until it happens. Best of luck, Reese, on Tuesday. And we'll all be watching you live on Zaleski Sports. And I say we all because we're all at games also. So we have your game off in the corner like that. All right, we now move to the nearly world famous, oftentimes popular, Marywood Minute, sponsored by Mid-State Technical College.
Sometimes.
Oftentimes popular.
Welcome to another edition of the Marywood Minute, brought to you by Mid-State Technical College.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
The Wolves? Is that what you said they were when they had a thing?
I don't know. I could send a text out and find out.
All right.
But
Off we go.
Jason, nothing screams Christmas like planning for holiday tournaments, cold weather, and you going to Florida on the business's dime. We're to the point where we're getting good data where we're at with Marywood basketball, so we're going to focus on Marywood basketball this time.
It is the Marywood Minute.
It is. All right, on the girls' side, the battle for Marywood South superiority, one-sided. Much like all of Assumption's games this year, a 59-22 victory over Auburndale. All of these games Assumption's playing, they're over 10 minutes in.
And think about that for a minute. Auburndale's first 2 games, they had a running clock because of their performance.
Yes.
And then you run into Assumption.
Yep.
And that's it. You just run into them and then down you go.
Yeah.
Think about it.
And teams are going to get better, right? And Assumption's really good. Like, I don't think that there's anybody in the entire state of Wisconsin, boys or girls basketball, who is a bigger favorite to win a gold ball than what Assumption is right now.
They are quite a favorite, aren't they?
Yeah.
By division, they're probably the heaviest favorite. Right?
Yeah.
That's what you said in the state?
Yep.
Yeah, I would say.
And Auburndale is going to get a return trip. Assumption's going to come to Auburndale, and they're going to have some film, and they're going to understand what it is. The second game should be closer, I would imagine. Stratford also stays undefeated. They're 6-0. Tomorrow's game against Auburndale here on Zaleski Sports is going to be a good one.
Okay. I hope so.
I don't know who's on the call, but it'll be a good game. Winner, they're the second best team in the Marywood is what I would say. Another crossover night on Friday, this past Friday. The South winning 4-2. Prentice beat Edgar 59-51. Abbotsford beat Newman Catholic 48-45. I think that's Abbotsford's first win.
It might be.
Yeah. So
only the second, if anything else, but likely the first.
Yeah. And I saw them. I did a game. I think it was last week. Marathon Newman Catholic. Newman's in for a tough year. Is what I would say.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah. So there's definitely some tiers forming, right? And so I have power rankings.
Okay.
But instead of doing North and South separate, I'm throwing them all together.
I think you should. They consider themselves one conference.
Yeah.
I often confuse it as two. It is just one. Answer your question. Mike Steinwagner on the call in Stratford tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep. There you go.
With sports, needs to figure out the conference stuff.
Oh boy.
Like the basketball stuff for the boys. Each team's in the conference standings twice. They're not counting the crossover games as conference games. Yeah. Just some housework.
It's an unusual thing, but it's something to get right if you're going to do it.
All right, 1 Assumption, 7-0. 2 Stratford, 6-0.
Yeah.
Okay. I have Auburndale next at 5-1. Then I have Marathon 4th at 5-1.
Okay.
So the top 4 teams, I believe, as of today, December whatever it is,
16.
Yeah. The top 4 teams in the Marywood all in the South.
8 shopping days left.
Great. I'm actually done. Just about done.
I haven't done one thing yet.
I believe that. 5 Rib Lake, 5-2.
Okay.
Marathon beat them, so Marathon's ahead of them.
Think about that, right? 5-2, 5th.
Yeah.
That says something.
Yeah.
About the top 4.
Phillips, 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
Prentice, 4-3. They're 7th. 8th, and then this is where there's a tier. So 7th, Prentice, 4-3.
So you got Assumption as a tier of its own. Then you got tier 2.
Yep.
And now tier 3. Okay.
Yeah. And tier 3 is going to end with Prentice here.
Yeah. Okay.
4-3. 8th, Abbotsford, 1-6.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the 1 though is an important one. Sometimes that leads to more.
Yep. 9 Chequamegon, 2-6, but they're winless in the conference.
Yep.
Athens 1-5, Edgar 1-6, Newman 1-6.
So what you're saying is Athens, Edgar, and Newman will be able to put some wins together when they play each other.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right.
Okay. Look forward to it, girls.
So that's the girls. Okay. Best games of the week.
All right.
Girls basketball in the
All
conference.
right.
Auburndale at Stratford, which we talked about.
Yep. Tuesday.
Prentice at Rib Lake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
that's going to tell us more for the next time we do this, because I don't know when you're leaving, but I plan on being here Monday.
The 26th. I've got 10 days yet.
Perfect.
Yeah. If you're up for it, we're doing a show next week.
Absolutely.
On the 23rd. You're good?
I'll be here the 27th also.
All right. Okay.
It might just be me.
It will just be you. Stratford concession stand. You've got more to go here. Boys stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Popcorn is overly salty. So too much salt on the popcorn in Stratford.
Because they're trying to sell drinks.
But they do. Many do not. They do in Stratford have the Gatorade Zero, which I'm a fan of.
Yeah, big fan.
I don't need the full flavored Gatorade, full sugared Flavorade. So, buy 2 Gatorades for 1 popcorn in Stratford.
Wow. Okay. All right, boys. We still early on, 4 games played or whatever.
Yeah, small sample size for the time being.
Yeah, the Marywood North has definitely closed the gap to the Marywood South. Crossover night the other night, the South won 4-2. The first crossover game, it was 3-3. Right?
Okay.
So we're at 7-5 right now.
Yep.
My game, I mentioned it a little bit. Rib Lake down by 12 with 6 minutes left, came back to win by 1 with a 3-pointer with 10 seconds left. Big win for Rib Lake.
Huge win. Good job, Redmond.
Yep. Marathon, a young team. They're going to learn from this, right? Turned it over. Coach Jacobson took a timeout. Then they turned it over with 6 seconds left. I think Truthers drove to the basket and dribbled it off his foot or something.
Okay.
Congratulations to Coach Paltz at Assumption, his first win of the year. Yeah. Stratford stays unbeaten and they actually had a good game. Must have been Friday at Iola.
Yes.
And Iola is a team who is going to make a lot of noise this year, but the next 2 years, because most of the team sophomores.
Yeah. In March of 2020, we had a sectional final game scheduled between Stratford and Iola Scandinavia. Both teams, Stratford was undefeated. T-Birds might have had one loss. Everybody was really looking forward.
1 or 0, yeah.
Yeah, everybody's really looking forward to that game. Both teams were sure they were going to win. There was some high-flying, above-the-rim stuff going on,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, we didn't get that game. And so those two schools have been waiting for 5 years to get that game. And 52-46, Stratford won at Iola on the Friday night.
Yeah.
Friday night. People are disappointed we weren't able to be at that game. I don't know what to tell you. We had 16 games on.
Yeah.
Sometimes
aggressive.
you just have to go to the game yourself.
That's true.
All right.
All right, so power rankings.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit controversial. I have Auburndale number 1.
With you, it's always controversial.
Auburndale's 4-0, Stratford's 4-0.
Yeah.
Like who knows, right?
Yeah.
Stratford is clobbering people. Auburndale's never clobbered a team as far as
It's
I'm
not what they
concerned.
want to do. We don't get to see them until January 17th, the first game. So
Yeah.
we got to wait another month yet before they play each other.
It's true.
Could they both be undefeated by that point?
I'm guessing they will be.
Okay.
Well, at least in conference. I don't know what the non-conference
Maybe
looks
overall.
like.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's a good chance.
I see Neilsville, Auburndale. Auburndale should be okay there, I think.
Really good chance. We may have to do some Big Ten network style broadcast that day if they're both undefeated.
I don't know what Stratford has non-conference or in their holiday tournament. They might have something. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
but they
Good.
seem to be the top 2 teams.
I'll update you when you're done with the
Okay.
on that.
Number 3, I have Phillips, 3-1. They
Okay.
handled Assumption
Yeah.
last week up in Phillips. They're handling pretty much everybody. They are 1-1 in conference, so. Abbotsford 3-1. Abbotsford has a good boys team this year. 5, I have Rib Lake. Rib Lake is 2-2. 6, Marathon. Marathon lost by a point to Rib Lake, so Rib Lake's ahead of them. 7, I have Edgar. Edgar kind of punching above their weight, I think. They are 2-2. A little bit surprising because figured that they kind of slot in towards the bottom, but they're not there.
Team of football players, says Dan.
Yeah. They absolutely hate it. They hate being called that,
Yeah.
even though they're a team of football players.
Yeah, they are.
8 is Prentice. 9, Assumption. Assumption plays Edgar this week, so that's going to be pretty good.
Somebody's going to win.
Yep. 10, Shawamigan. 11, Athens. And 12, Newman. So Newman is on the bottom, boys and girls.
Checks out to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, a week and a half left until the holiday break. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Get out and see a game.
Please.
Check the latest state seed rankings on Zaleski Sports. And until then, maybe we'll see you next week with another Marywood Minute.
Well, Dan, I said almost everybody likes it, and it was
almost,
well done.
Almost everyone.
It was well done again. We'll give them 2 for it.
Some CWC fans are like, why don't we have a CWC corner?
Give us a guy. Bring
Yeah.
our girl. Come on in. And somewhat
Look
of
at Hannah in here.
well, right. And you've got your flagship school is just down the road
Yep.
in Pacelli. So have one of the kids come in. We do the show every Monday at noon. Come in during the lunch hour and give us the CWC Minute or whatever you want to call it. Let's see, Stratford. I owe you an answer. Stratford Auburndale. Yeah, it looks like both undefeated as they will come into that matchup on January 17th. That's a Friday
love
night.
it.
I may have to tell Steve to clear our schedule statewide, and we'll have everybody come in.
They might be 10-0, 11-0 or something. Both teams at that point.
It would be an upset if one of the teams were to lose in the next month. It would be an upset.
You don't think Manawa's going to go into Stratford and get a win?
Not that I see it. Not that I see it. No.
Stanley Boyd, maybe they have a good football team. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Orioles.
I do know a little. I don't see it.
Okay.
I'm seeing undefeated coming into that one. Now the pressure's on because Zaleski said so. Yeah, you mentioned the Christmas events. We'll mention them again next week on Monday. Again, I was just told that we'll be here Monday next week on the 23rd, so that's good. I'm going to be here anyway. The printer's going to be going like wild on the 23rd.
I'm off
over
work,
here.
so I don't really.
Okay. Well, and some say I don't work. So the printer's going to be going wild that day. Yep. Yeah. We there's no magazine the week of New Year's, and so everything's getting printed on the 23rd, and then we print enough to last for 2 weeks. So it's going to be going wild in there on the 23rd.
I heard some talk that Wausau wants to get in on this. I don't know.
Pony up, people. Pony up. That's what I'll tell you. Get a hold of Bill Held. He is your ticket to making it happen. Then we'd have to buy a industrial strength printer in there.
Maybe.
Or maybe have to have someone else in town that has that machine do it. And we just go pick them up one day each week. Maybe that's the way to do it anyway. We attempted that. And I think I told you the story, but the place told us our software was too new. And I said, which kind of software do you need? And he told me, and I looked it up, and this is the honest truth. We would have needed to have a machine with Windows 95 to run the software that they needed to print it.
Don't tell me those kinds of things. That's terrible. Yeah.
And it turned out we're saving 70% of the cost by printing it here, along with using this newfangled technology of 2022.
Plus, you go in there and you can just smell the ink in the paper. I love it.
I grew up in a newspaper almost, so it reminds me of my yesteryear. Now, as I'll be 50 in July, so I get to say those kind of words now. Yeah. Yesteryear. In my day. Christmas events. Looking in the wrong direction, aren't I? No, I'm not.
Yeah, that's
yes, I am.
After New Year's. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay. There you go. I can read a calendar most days. So, yeah, Mark Miller in his Rick Majerus Wisconsin Basketball Yearbook Shootout. Again, we are happy to be there. Mark is happy that we are there. We've got a pair of games on Tuesday the 26th. So you wake up. You remember the Christmas story with Ralphie and the rifle and the whole thing? Well, if you guys, I'm sure everybody will see this show coming up in the next few days because it starts like a marathon. Like TNT has like 2 straight days.
Yeah,
like
TNT
48
or TBS,
hours
they just play it on repeat.
And you'll probably see it 3 times. Anyway, Christmas morning, they're unwrapping the bowling ball and the rifle and all that. And Mom and Dad are drinking a glass of wine at 8 a.m. on Christmas Day. So
deservedly so.
Maybe you'll get up and on the 26th to have a glass of wine. The first game's not till 6 at night. So who knows? You may be at your favorite watering hole. Marquette and Wisconsin Lutheran, a premier game to start it out for us at Concordia University on the 26th. As Dan had so flagrantly mentioned earlier in the show, I will be in Orlando, Florida, that is.
Flagrantly.
So willy-nilly, just throwing information out there. Knoxville Catholic, one of the top teams in the entire state of Tennessee, taking on my Marshfield Tigers at, I believe, 1 in the afternoon. They didn't update that on here.
It looks like I'll be in Marathon that day.
Is that what it says?
That's what it says.
Sure enough. You'll be in Marathon for some sort of a Friday the 27th get-together.
Doubleheader. Yeah.
Columbus Catholic coming to town. Currently the 18th ranked girls team in the state and the 15th ranked.
Yeah,
15 and 18.
I think the boys and girls games will both be good games.
How about that?
They feel similar styles and teams, yeah.
We are in Stratford as well. Marshfield has a girls event going on. The Herd Arena will again host the Assumption. I shouldn't say again, right? Was it boys last year? Maybe it is the girls 2 years in a row.
I think so.
Yeah. Assumption and Bondwell. You mentioned that game earlier. That could be a good one right there. Would Assumption get their first loss against the Bears? Okay, Dan says no. Back for more at Concordia, and then everything wraps up on for that week anyway on the 28th. Concordia, Stratford, Marshfield. I am again on the microphone on the 28th in Orlando. We get the 29th off, which is a Sunday. Most people there would be going to Disney World. We're not. We're going to Disney on New Year's Eve for a little different take on Mickey Mouse and of course my side piece Snow White. And then I'm back on the microphone on the 30th on that Monday in Orlando, Florida. So Marshall wraps up, and that's the actual tournament. They follow a bracket. Champion, you get a gold ball at the end.
Yeah, so that's like I have a pet peeve with that. You're having these holiday classics, and you're not giving a trophy away a lot of times.
Yeah, there's a miss there, and most now are round robin or single, or you play 2. You know, in the Majerus, some teams play 1, 2, or 3, but there's no finishing event. Yeah.
Yeah, at least
why not?
At least Mark Miller hands out a plaque after every game to the top player.
Yep. You get a player of the game, and then they also award scholarships after every game.
That's right.
Kids apply for a scholarship, and they choose one based on the what do you call it there? Not the novel, but they write a paper.
Yeah.
There's a word for
Yeah.
essay. They write an
Yeah,
essay.
there's a submission.
Yeah, again, I it's interscholastic, but I always forget about the scholastic part of this setup with the kids. I don't think about the learning. Tonight, Monday, we'll wrap it up with this. Again, full schedule at ZaleskiSports.com. It's another 50-game week, so I'm not going to read all 50 games to you.
It's absolutely wild having 15 or 16 games a night.
Yeah, how many do we have on
really
Tuesday? Yeah,
is.
15. We did set the world record last week. On Friday was 16. It is a world record that is confirmed. Guinness will be a hold of us soon. But tonight on Monday, Columbus Catholic at Abbotsford, Wittenberg, Burnhamwood, the number 5 ranked team in the state in Division 4, at DC Everest, and the number 18
Division
ranked
3.
Division 3. Thank you. And the number 18 ranked Marathon Raiders visit Colby. That's all girls basketball action. Varsity tips all scheduled for 7:15. Go to ZaleskiSports.com for the full schedule.
That's
Dan?
a tough game for the Marathon girls.
You think so?
I think so.
I disagree. So we shall find out later on tonight. After we go off air, Dan and I will sort this out.
Fair. I have games Thursday and Friday. Thursday, Assumption girls at Marathon.
Okay.
It'll probably be a quick game, I would say.
All right.
And then Friday, I have the Marathon boys at the Newman Gym. So
Okay.
looking forward to that.
Yeah, old stomping ground for you.
Yep.
I'm at hockey. So I get my first hockey broadcast of the season tomorrow.
Kick save and a beauty.
Northland Pines coming to Marshfield.
Hey.
Pines is a big hockey town.
Very
Eagle
big.
River.
Very big. They have a pro team there.
Mm-hmm. They do. Yeah. One of the feeder leagues, right? I forget which league it is.
Yeah.
But there's 6 or 7 pre-NHL leagues, or pre-even, but it's a minor league team.
Yeah.
It's professional. They are paid. It's true. Let's see here. And then Friday, I will likely have an appearance in the Wausau East Gymnasium as Wausau East hosts Marshfield. Marshfield had a buzzer beater there last year to win it.
Yes.
So I figure that's worth going. Plus, I'm going to be filming All Access on Friday night over at Wausau East. So I'll see you there. Dan Ross, last word.
Looks like Wausau East at Marshfield.
What? You sure? Where do you see it? The home team's here. So, yeah, Marshfield at Wausau East.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got the home team on the right.
That's right.
Reason. So, Dan Ross always gets last word on the weekly show.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. Perfect timing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, congratulations to your Cowboys yesterday.
Well, we were road underdogs.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Panthers hadn't been favored in so many years, and there was no problem there.
And there's a reason for that.
Well, the Cowboys had no trouble, and I told my brother and dad who teased me about this road underdog. I said, listen, the Dallas Cowboys are the best third-string team in the league. Actually, I said they are quite good, and they neither of them wanted to bet me, and it's good for them, bad for me. But my Cowboys, for a team of third-stringers, romped in Charlotte yesterday, and the Chicago Bears were eliminated from the playoffs yesterday. I found out.
I'm shocked that it happened yesterday. I thought it was a couple weeks ago. The Cowboys are pretty much eliminated too.
Well, come on.
Yeah.
Third string team.
The Cowboys would have to win their last 3 games, and I think they need 41 other things to happen.
They showed it on the broadcast yesterday. 13 opening day starters not available.
Yeah, the Lions are getting
13.
there too,
They are banged up.
and they lost David Montgomery for the year.
Yeah, the Packers and Vikings trying to steal that division right now, and might.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying Dan Campbell's down 2 scores with 13 minutes left, and he's kicking onside kicks. Yeah, the defense has people off the street playing.
Yeah, you weren't going to stop them no matter if they started on the 10 or the 10.
Yeah.
The Bills were going to score a touchdown anyway.
You'd be better off probably just letting them score and going for 2 every time to try to catch up that way. But yeah, what I would say to end this, take care of business. We have 1 week until the holiday break, right? So student athletes, take care of your schoolwork. Teams, make sure that you finish this out strong and enjoy the break. Enjoy the rest.
I was at a game last week. I won't say which one because it would blow the cover, but there were 3 kids missing, and all because of academic.
Gotta
And
take
that
care of
team
business.
lost that particular night.
Yeah, gotta take care of business.
There you go. Take care of business. We have took care of ours. We come to an end of this show, gang. Enjoy. Again, all the game schedule at ZaleskiSports.com. Enjoy. Have a great week. Go Sports!
Sports!